Alright, this is now the fourth time I'm trying to film this because my phone keeps cutting me off. Hey guys, what's up? I'm Angus, if you're new here, and if you're returning, welcome back to another video. My hay fever is going crazy, so if I rub my nose, that's why. Also, for today's video, to stay on track because it's quite a long story, I've written a whole bunch of notes in this book, so if I keep looking down during important parts, that's why I'm just referencing my notes to make sure I stay on track and don't make this video too long for you guys. But welcome back. This video is going to be about my coming out journey. Not so much my actual coming out, because I didn't really come out in the traditional sense. There was no sit down talking and I'm gay, because everyone everyone already knew. People just waited for me to be like, oh, I'm gay, and then they would be like, cool, we know. I just wanted to say, guys, to whoever is watching this and going through this journey, I promise you it does get better. I'm 21 now, and it's taken me this long to just come to terms with everything that happened during my teen years. So for the story to make sense, I have to tell you about my schooling career. So from preschool to grade 9, I went to one school, a single-sex school. Then from halfway through grade 9 to the end of grade 10, I went to a different school, a co-ed school, and then for the last 2 years, grade 11 and grade 12, I went to another co-ed school. And this was just because I moved living situations, so as that happened, so my school changed. I just want people to know that I'm going to be mentioning specific people, not by name, just as a reference to like, this person did this and this is how it impacted me. I'm not going to be naming names because that's just mean. You shouldn't do that. And I'm pretty sure that they have changed in life and moved on. So from grade R to grade 6, or preschool to grade 6, there was nothing really eventful, nothing really happened that I could think of. Honestly, like, I thought about it for a really long time and I couldn't think of anything. So grade 6 was a defining grade for me because it was a year that I started dating girls. I also had a crush on my first boy, but at the time I thought, I didn't know it was a crush, I just really wanted to be friends with him. I don't know why, but I just did. And also it was the year that I had first been defined by my sexuality. I had a friend, we were all in a group together, and he was kind of newish to school, he had just moved, and he would come over to my house a lot because he lives quite far away, and his parents didn't want to drive all the way to school. If we had like after school events, his parents didn't want to drive all the way back and forth because by the time that they had gotten home, it was already time to go back again, and so on and so forth. So he used to come over to my house because I used to live like really close to the school. But yeah, so we were quite good friends, and you know, we hung out a lot with our group and everything like that. And the one day he turned around to me and he said, "Oh, I can't be friends with you because everyone says that you're gay." And I was like, "Oh, hectic, okay." And the crazy thing is, my last school that I moved to was his old school, and I ended up becoming friends with all of his old friends. So I saw him later in life, and he's actually quite a nice guy. He's really cool. I like him. Like now. I hated him back then. Yeah, it was also the year that we started going to under 18 events. So my school ran a program called Cool to Be Me, and they organized this event where like you mix with different schools. So like, because we were an all-boys school, we'd mix with an all-girls school, and we had these socials. They called them socials. So I made quite a few friends and became friends with quite a lot of girls, and that's how I met my first girlfriend, and so on. And I remember going to this one. It wasn't by the program called To Be Me. It was an outside under 18 event that someone had just organized at the Claremont Scouts Hall. And I went to this party, and I remember I was in the crowd dancing with my friends, having like such a good time just listening to the music. And a group of guys from my grade came up to me and they started grinding on me and laughing at me, and like they got like basically a big group of people to laugh at me, and I was just like, why do these people hate me? And I think for a long time that was a question that I held a lot, was why are these people doing these things to me when other people are fine with me? Like, I don't understand. So then I finished grade 6, and that was like the last thing, and then grade 7 rolled around, and more of these parties and more of these things. It kind of like became like the norm, so I just stopped going to these things and just became like a homebody. I didn't really like going out. If I did go out, I'd meet friends one-on-one. And then grade 7 rolled around, and the guy in grade 6 that I had a crush on actually ended up being in my class. And I never spoke to him though, ever. And then, because it was the era of like Blackberries, everyone had everyone on BBM. So I obviously had him, and towards the end of the year, he like messaged me randomly the one day and just started talking to me. I think I said that I had these feelings, and you know, he turned it into like a sexual thing, and kind of just went along with it because I didn't know what else to do, which was the biggest mistake of my life. I should never have done that. And then we rolled into high school, and this is where things started to get really, really bad. Yeah, it was a really dark period. I moved into high school, and my parents didn't give me an option of which high school I'd go to. I just went into the feeder high school of the primary school. So I went in, and because the school was a lot bigger, and obviously people moved to different high schools, new people came in, and one of those people was this guy's best friend, like childhood best friend. And I didn't know at the time, but he was sitting on the other end of that phone with that guy while I was saying all these things. And when we go to high school, the first thing of grade 8 is a camp. So you get onto the bus and everything. And because I was in his class, I had to be on that bus. And these guys tormented the shit out of me, like shouting on the bus so everyone heard. Everyone was laughing at me, like pointing, like, and I was sitting like against the window, so I was cornered and I couldn't move. And I remember sitting there, and all I wanted to do was cry here. Like, that was a very big moment for me, because it was the moment that I lost all self-respect and all my self-confidence. Like, I don't think I've ever really recovered from that moment, because it was just such a horrible, horrible moment. And yeah, you know, I forgive those people, but it doesn't mean I want to see them now, and it doesn't mean that I have anything good to say to them. I hope they're doing well. I think I still follow one of them on Instagram, and he seems to be doing well, so good for him. And if he watches this video one day, all I want him to know is how much that impacted my life. Like, those stupid words that you say when you're young impacted my life literally up until this point, and I probably will remember that for the rest of my life. So that was the first day of grade 8, which was fantastic. So I knew I was in for a rough ride. I finished grade 8, went to grade 9, and then halfway through grade 9, my mom was like, cool, we're moving. So I said, okay, cool, off I go. So I go with her, and I move schools, and I move into a co-ed school, and I think, oh, guys, this is going to be better. Anyway, I met my first, like, this was like now my first serious relationship with a girl, and I thought she was the be-all and end-all. And guys didn't really cross my mind at that point. Like, I was just really infatuated with her. And that was like a good chunk of that time, like a good 10 months, 11, maybe even a year of just being obsessed with her. I think I dated another girl during that period, but I could only think of her, which was kind of cool because, you know, it was like a good relationship, I guess. And then towards the end of the following year, so I had finished grade 9 now. I had finished grade 9, finished grade 10, and my living situation had to change again. So I moved to my dad, and with that, I moved schools again. And now, like, I was done with girls, coming to terms with my sexuality, and I knew that from that point, like, I had to date a guy in order to figure out what I was feeling on the inside. So moved school, started grade 11, and about 4 months in, I was talking to one guy, and he said to me, "Oh, like, do you know this other guy? You know, I think he's in the same school as you." So I said, "Yeah, he's actually in my friendship group," and that's how I started dating my first boyfriend. I found out through someone else that he was gay, and we chatted, we hung out, and then we started dating. And that was my first boyfriend. It was cute and short. We dated for about 4 months, 5 months, something like that, and then we broke up. That was my first heartbreak. That was also a defining moment because I knew that I didn't want to date girls anymore. Like, girls were not a thing in my life anymore, and boys were the only thing that mattered, and I got tunnel vision just for boys. This moving of schools was not coincidental. So I met a girl named Chelsea Love, and we like kind of clicked instantly. We just got on really well, like instantly. We had fun together, and it was always good. And she said to me, like, "Would you ever move back to South Africa?" And I said, "Oh, well, I really am thinking about it." And she was like, "You have to come to my school." And at the time when we were talking about it, my old school was like, "No, we're full, we can't, like, there's no space." So I said to my dad, I was like, "Why don't we apply there?" And then coincidentally, one of my mom's best friends worked there. So it was kind of just like fate clicking into place, and I was like, this could be a really good thing. So I ended up going to the school and meeting my first boyfriend. So that decision of moving to that school to this date is the best decision I ever made. The amount I gained from that decision is irreplaceable. And Chelsea is someone that I hold near and dear to my heart because she was such a big part of that decision. She was the reason that I went to that school. So after my first boyfriend ended, I ended up switching friend groups and, changing up friends and mixing into a new group. And like, it was amazing to see how my life had changed from being so rejected by everyone to being accepted by everyone. Not everyone, but being accepted by a lot of people, and just feeling so like that was where I was meant to be. There were two more guys after him that I got brokenhearted by, but we live and we learn, and changed me for the best. The last 2 years were probably like the best years of school because they just were. There was no bullying. Like, there was just everyone was fine with my sexuality. I mean, it shifted because the more I was accepted, the more everything started to come out, and with suppressing all the bullying and all the mean words came out, toxic traits of like deflecting, and I was known as the gossip queen at school because I knew everyone's business, and I would use other people's secrets and drama to deflect all the insecurities and the failure to love myself so that no one would notice, if that makes sense. I spent a lot of time talking about other people so that people wouldn't ask about me and how I'm doing, because on the inside I just wasn't winning. I thought to myself that once I have people that accept me, I'll be fine. But the problem is, before that, I had been torn down so much that I didn't know how to rebuild. And the more people were like, "You can't do that, you can't continue to act the way that you do," the more my relationships became stronger because they were like, "Okay, stop doing this, you need to work on this to get better." And I'd be like, "Okay, well, how do I do that?" I also developed a bad habit of, lying to people to make myself seem cooler, and it wasn't a good thing. Like, I think if I could apologize to everyone that was involved in that situation, I would. So it was a weird mindset to shift from, people not liking me because of my sexuality to people not liking the things that I was doing because of my personality. And it took a lot of soul searching to realize that I needed to grow up and stop being held back by the things that happened in the past. I needed to turn around and be like, that happened, that's okay, I'm okay, moving forward. And that was a big lesson that it took a long time to learn. And it took everyone around me teaching me these things to move on in life. Being disliked for my sexuality, I began to not like people because of certain things. And I had friends who loved everyone, every weird shape, size, anything that people came in, they loved them because they were like, if you're a good person, you're a good person. And I was taught that. I was taught to hold back my words. Not, you don't have to try and impress people all the time for them to like you. They can just like your personality. And it was a big part of growing up, I had to forgive these people that hurt me without them saying sorry, because I couldn't carry the weight of what they said around me for the rest of my life, because their words had no meaning when they came out their mouth. They wanted a reaction out of me, and I mean, they got it. I mean, I ran as far away from them as possible, and um, now at the time that I was doing all this healing, they probably didn't think back to it. They probably didn't even care. They probably didn't even remember that they said those things to me, but I did, because it hurt me so much. So if they didn't care, why must I still care and give their words meaning? So that was a big lesson that I had to learn. It was also important to see the good and all the bad. So with every breakup, with everything that I did, I had to learn my lesson through it. With learning that people will like you, personality, even if you don't impress them, that meant that I didn't have to lie about things to impress people, because I thought that the only way that people like you is if you're, you know, doing things that shock them, that like surprise them. And when I stopped doing that, these people were still like, "Oh, you're cool. We're still friends." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I think that's why now, even after school's finished, I still have those relationships from school, because they were like, "You're still cool, even though you're not doing these hectic things." And I think that a large part of me struggled with believing that people could change, because the last memory I have of these people that bullied me, they were horrible to me. It's the only thing that I remember about them. And now I see them out, and they're smiling and they're happy and stuff like that. And it was hard for me to accept that these people could be good, because they've changed. They realized that, you don't need to ridicule someone for their sexuality, even though it's different. Like, who cares? It's their thing. It doesn't affect me. My coming out wasn't really a shock to anyone, because everyone kind of already knew. They were just waiting for me to confirm it on my own time, to come to terms with it. And I think that's something that I very much respect about a lot of people around me. But yeah, it's been a rough journey, but it's been good. I've learned a lot of lessons. I've moved forward, and this is a really fast version of the event. I could go into more detail, but we'd literally be sitting here for an hour, and I don't think that you guys would be down for that. The big things that I remember was like, the whole bus story, like on the way to camp with those two guys. It taught me to be resilient and not to take people's words and people's words only have meaning when I give it meaning. And those young, stupid boys, they've moved on, so I'm gonna as well now. The guy that turned around to me and said, he doesn't want to be friends with me because I'm gay. I ended up being friends with his friends from his old school, and I see him now, and he's great. Like, he's a really good guy. And he changed, and he learned, like, it was really positive. Learning that you don't need to talk about everyone's business because you don't want people to know yours. Like, just don't tell them. Like, they're not there to deep dive into every personal aspect of your life. Lying about what you're doing with people is also not a good thing. And that's one thing that I really regret, is just making up stories for the 2 minutes of fame or clout that it got. And there's like things that, I think people never respected my sexuality and like keeping their opinions to themselves. So I ended up not respecting someone's journey to accepting themselves, and that was a big issue as well that I still hold to this day. And it's amazing how your emotions can take hold of you, because that guy, I still want to apologize every single day, even though he turned around and was mean to me. It was mean out of out of a reflection on my own actions, not on his. And it's important to learn that with every heartbreak, I learned a lesson, and it made me who I am today, and I don't regret the people that I shared my life with at that point. My friends, I love them so much because they always kept me in check. They always made sure, like, hey, like, just chill, come back down to earth, like, come here, princess, come, take a seat, like, just sit down for 5 seconds and take a breath. Like, you don't need to be this wild child all the time. It was a journey, guys, and although a hard one that I still struggle with a lot, it made me who I am today, and it gave me the people that are in my life, and honestly, that's the biggest thing that I could ever be thankful for. Good job. Anyway, guys, that's it for today. If you guys want more information, feel free to DM me and ask me as many questions as you like. I mean, it's an endless pool that I'd be willing to give so much advice on. But this video would be 6 days long otherwise. But yeah, but if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below or DM me. Also, like and subscribe if you like this content. I will be doing more on it. But yeah, guys, stay groovy, and I'll see you guys soon.